We'll be back on the air. Music Scene Investigation here with you. I got to tell you, it is a bizarre thing that's happening, and I'm not really sure exactly how to cure it. I'll have to deal with that off air, I guess. We're glad to have you on the show today with us. A lot of things happening today besides the fact that we're reviewing music, which we always do on Music Scene Investigation. We have 3 new tracks. I hold the title and authors to on this card here in front of me. We'll get to those in just a little bit. However, I want to take the opportunity to introduce you to our panelists on today's show and talk with them for a little bit. First of all, we're going to go to New York City to talk with Mr. Tom Chianti. Tom is a recording producer and engineer extraordinaire. He's been in the business for a heck of a lot longer than I have. Tom, welcome. How are you, sir?
Is that your polite way of saying I'm older than you?
Yeah, pretty much.
I see. Well, compliment accepted along with the backhand to the side of the head.
You take it well, though.
Well, I mean, right now, between the antihistamines, the cough syrup, the lack of sleep, and the double pneumonia that I'm experiencing, I've got quite a numbness and floating and buzzness.
Is that your way of saying you're just too drugged up to care?
No, I'm never too drugged up to care.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're here, Tom. I'll tell you, it looks much more impressive when you had a board in front of you.
Well, yeah. Since it is a recording studio, it is better to have a mixing board than a nothing or a small computer or a keyboard.
Absolutely. And we're happy to have you back with us, Tom. Thanks again for being here, even though you're feeling a bit under the weather.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I would not miss this for death.
Well, we certainly hope it doesn't come to that.
Well, if it does, you'll know.
Mr. Tom Chianti, everyone. Over in London, England, we have Mr. Ian Husbands joining us, along with our guest panelist today, who's in-house with Ian. It's Mr. Nick Andrew and Ian Husbands. Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening, whatever it is.
Good evening. Yeah.
Evening, yeah.
Are we near London?
Kind of.
Nobody told me.
We're near Heathrow.
I would have worn a different hat.
Darling.
Yeah. Okay.
How we doing, guys?
Doing real well. How are things going where you're at?
Not bad. The ice has melted.
Sorry. Do you want some more Lego men?
Ian gave me these Lego ice cubes to stick in my whiskey. Very interesting.
Little Lego men ice cubes. They're brilliant.
No.
Nobody warned you that Ian was a Lego fanatic.
No. They just told me he had a lot of bricks in his house.
I was bricking it, is what they actually said.
Oh, okay, yeah. And you like to do things with little men.
Steady now. Steady family show. I mean, come on.
I'm talking about your video.
You were the one that was drinking them.
You're saying wait. You're saying that Ian likes to make videos with little men is basically what you said.
Yeah. He does all kinds of things to them. Puts them in strange positions. They're great.
I prefer the yellow ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this in stop
The
action?
little yellow men.
It's all on YouTube.
It is all on YouTube. You can
It's
go
all above board. It's all legal.
in some countries.
Well, the ones you've showed me have been legal.
Most countries.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Ian, why don't you introduce everybody to Nick and tell us a little about Nick?
I'll tell you, before we introduce Nick, let's get the figures out of the way, because it's been an interesting week on our witness statement.
All right.
We've had a lot of voters in this week, which is really great to see. And as much as we've had a lot of voters, which is the interesting part, we'd like more people to vote. They did all agree with us that Song 2, which was Twilight by Teddy Vile, was the best song for songwriting, performance, and mix and production.
All right. Well, that's good to know. You have percentages you can throw at me?
It got 100% on songwriting.
Okay.
It got 92% on best performance, with Song 3 pulling in the other 8%. And it got 69% on mix and production, with song 3 getting the remaining 31%. No votes for song 1, I'm afraid.
That's pretty much an overwhelming result then.
Yep, I think everyone agreed with us. It was a tough week last week, so it's nice to see our audience agreeing with us on the decision.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you there. And I appreciate you keeping me up to date on the votes and the statistics. And we'll do that again at the end of this broadcast. So everybody out there, make sure that you click on that Be a Witness statement towards the end of the broadcast so you can let us know exactly what you think, again, this week about the songs you're going to hear. Back over to you, Ian.
So, drum roll. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nick Andrew.
Hello.
He's a guitar virtuoso and he's Scottish.
Aye.
And that's it, right?
What more do you need to know?
That's it. That's enough. So, no, you're a guitarist. You're a classical and jazz trained guitarist
Aye, sort of, aye.
who plays rock music.
Aye.
So, when did you start? Tell us a bit about your starts.
I
your
started
roots.
off as a drummer, believe it or not.
Don't admit that in public.
Okay, right. I started off as a rhythmist and a drummist. And a mate of mine left his guitar around my house, and I was accidentally playing along with an Iron Maiden record, which was Wrathchild. And I accidentally played the right chord at the right time, worked the song out, worked the album out, worked all my albums out, and in 3 months I was a guitarist.
So, no lessons?
No.
You just knew how to play?
I'd watch videos. I'd literally watch VHS videos of Iron Maiden playing and kind of made the right noise and thought, that sounds like a proper chord.
Right.
I played it wrong totally for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But a mate brought around a video called Live After Death, and I watched the way that Dave Murray played all the guitar parts. I just guessed where your hand went a lot of the time and used my ear. And that was it, basically. Downhill since then.
So, how did you go from Iron Maiden to classical and jazz?
Well, I was always into classical because my dad played lots of classical in the house, and through getting into metal, you kind of, or metal at the time was like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, all that kind
Black
of thing.
Sabbath.
Status quo. Yeah. Anyway,
so you learnt 3 chords then?
yeah. So I learned all that stuff, and then getting into Deep Purple and Rainbow, I was playing Difficult to Cure, the record, one night. My dad came in and said, that's Beethoven. I said, no, it's Richie Blackmore and Rainbow. No, it's Beethoven. Beethoven wrote that. Who's Beethoven? So I went and dug out his classical collection, started listening to it, and got really into virtuoso violin stuff.
Right.
And started to learn some of that on the guitar. And my idea was to play rock music, but do the virtuoso violin stuff in a rock band.
Right.
Then I heard Yngwie Malmsteen and thought, pants, that's what
Someone's
I want to do.
done that.
Yeah, someone's done that.
I've met him.
Have you? Is he
That's what I'm going to say.
3 types of the finest coffee beans?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Self-eroticator?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes. To keep it family friendly.
Yes, exactly. I like his shirts, though. He's got a very nice taste in shirts. So that's kind of how I went from classical music. And I learned pretty quickly, learned all my albums, and had nowhere else to go. I learned all the Joe Satriani, Van Halen stuff, as everybody did when I was a kid.
Yep.
And then I was getting bored with it. I was going to give it up. And there's a guy came to town who went to Berkeley school in America, and he was offering theory lessons. So I thought, Berkeley, that's where Joe Satriani and Vi went. So I had lessons with him. And the first lesson was, have you ever heard of Chick Corea and Alan Holdsworth? Like, no. So he played me some, then gave me a tape of them, and that was it. I kind of found my path, as it were.
Niche.
Yeah, so now I play lots of big chords, wrong notes. I'm trying to perfect my different timings, even when I should be playing the right time. Lots of gurning, getting the facial expressions just right while you're playing the wrong notes.
Was that in the lessons?
Yeah.
Is there a set sort of established pattern you have to work with?
No, the problem was, because he was a keyboard player and piano player, and I was a guitarist, he couldn't play guitar and I couldn't play piano. So it was purely ear.
So that's where the faces come from. Every time you got it wrong.
Yeah. Well, and it was a
gotcha.
small booth as well, and he was a vegetarian. So there was lots and lots of bean casseroles and stuff that he used to have.
Lentils.
Yeah, it was a guy. He was a fantastic bloke called Dave Latchaw, who now lives in Fort Wayne in Indiana.
Right.
And he's an awesome keyboard player, absolutely amazing musician. And he just taught me pretty much everything in a few months before I went to music college. So yeah, he was quite someone. He turned my head around completely, and as he describes it, he made a monster.
And
So,
you to say about college, you now also teach at colleges and universities, or have done. You're now in private lessons.
aye. I
So-
do master classes at colleges now.
So, what's the masterclass involved?
I basically stand up and talk about myself, just show off, shout it and point, and that's about it, really.
Do you learn much out of this, or
Sounds
sounds like an easy gig, something I could do?
Yeah, I get paid.
Oh,
That's the important part.
Yeah,
I get paid. No, it's good fun actually. I get to show off all my gear, like MIDI guitar and the pickups I was telling you about for different companies, and just try and turn people's heads to a different way of thinking of music rather than just the stuff that they listen to. So if they're into rock music, a lot of them just tend to listen to just rock stuff.
yeah.
So I try and pull them out of that and say, you can take this classical idea, this country idea. I do use country sparingly. It's not my favourite genre of music.
No.
But yeah, it's good
Preston,
fun.
isn't it?
I like getting the feedback, and especially if you're just teaching guitarists, you can kind of give them
Yeah.
new concepts and stuff. But I'm a big believer in showing people what they already know, and showing people different things, different ways of using like pentatonic scales. Or if you only know 3 chords, you actually know tons of chords.
Yes.
But you just have to look at it in different ways and use it in different ways. So that's what I get out of it.
You mentioned MIDI guitar. Now, and I think
Aye.
this is something Rich was keen to talk about with you.
Aye,
Tell us about you're a MIDI guitar freak, aren't you? It's all you really use these days.
aye, aye.
Why? What are you using?
It's mainly because I like keyboard players. All my favourite musicians are keyboard players.
So you're a frustrated keyboard player, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
It came about in Scotland because there wasn't very many keyboard players, and all the bands, all the cover bands I was in, they all wanted synth pads and stuff. So I bought a Roland GI-10 at one point, and I remember going to the first rehearsal with the band. We were only doing covers, and I played. It was Peter Gunn, I think it was, and I played the brass part. And the drummer laughed so hard he fell off his drum stool, knocked himself out. It's quite unusual. If you've never seen it, it's basically a guitar player. The hard part is that when you're playing an instrument like, say, a saxophone, you've got to think like a keyboard player playing a saxophone. So you're twice removed from the actual instrument, but you've got to think of the nuances, the way they play,
The expression.
the expression as well, yeah. So if you're playing piano, you can't strum a chord. You've got to play individual notes. You've got to play with your fingers, a lot of fingerstyle stuff. But being in like guys like Chick Corea, Hiromi, Herbie Hancock and stuff, that suits me down to the ground. But it gives an extra edge to any band that I'm in as well, because you've got, I can accompany myself doing strings and organs and stuff when I'm soloing.
And just
Yeah.
to bring the link in, you've actually used some of the software that John Hodgson has
aye.
created, who's also appeared on the show
Aye.
and is involved with the show. So is it Omnisphere and Imposcar?
Imposcar, yeah.
Imposcar.
That's what I've used. I've got a little band called Zipper Tongue, who's basically a rock band with a kind of jazz and classical edge to it. Muse meets Return to Forever, if you will.
Yeah.
For all you educated listeners out there.
No, Tom and I are definitely not educated listeners, and there may be some in our audience, however.
What?
Okay.
What? What?
Exactly.
I have
Well,
a
That's
question.
the
I have a
song we
question.
use.
Oh, is it?
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Have
Tom
you ever
is,
seen one of those guitars, or do they make these guitars where, the twin guitars, where one's a MIDI guitar, one's a regular guitar?
What drugs have you been taking?
Alka-Seltzer Cold Melt Medicine Plus.
Okay, that's what Alka-Seltzer does to you. That's just a normal guitar, mate.
Ah, okay.
No, you do
Is
get
that
them,
what
you're
they're
right.
called?
You get on regular guitars, you get a pickup that you can put on a regular guitar, and it's a little black thing. It's a bit horrible looking, but the pickup goes under the strings, and that allows you to use all the MIDI, use it as a MIDI controller, basically. But we were talking about the other plasticky kind of ones, they look like children's toys from Rock Band, or what's the PlayStation game?
Xbox and all that.
Xbox, yeah, it looks like one of these. I haven't tried one yet. Because the problem with MIDI guitar is that there's not very many guitar shops that stock the products, because it's not that popular at the moment. But I hope to change that.
You're a pioneer.
I'd like to be a pioneer.
A couple of things I want to talk about before we sort of go to start reviewing the music. Zipper Tongue.
Yep.
You've got an album coming out. You've got a very talented graphic designer on board.
He's wonderful. He's got a beard and everything.
Fantastic. Good to hear. What's the deal with that? We've got some music coming out when?
We are currently mastering it, so it should be out hopefully by the end of October.
Right.
Be out on iTunes and in all your good record stores if there's any left. You got any record stores left in the States?
That's a good question, Tommy.
There's none left in England.
Target, Walmart.
There you go.
The only record stores they got over there is the stuff the NSA is keeping.
That's the way it is, yeah. You know,
And,
I'm not going to argue.
An interesting fact about Nick, for those of you, you're a professional musician. This is what you do for a living.
Aye.
And you have a unique way of keeping your living costs down, don't you?
Aye.
Which you've written a book about.
Yes.
Which is coming out.
Hopefully around the same time, but it'll probably be December kind of
Now, the
time.
book is called
The Backseat Boudoir.
Because
Because I live in my car. And have done for 7 years. Well, over 7.25 years now.
You
How
have
does
a
that work
van
out?
or a regular car?
Just a regular car. It's blue, though.
Is it a MIDI car?
It's blue. It's a Volkswagen Passat.
how on earth, and I'm sorry to cut in here again, how on earth do you manage that? Because I'm sure that, you have musical equipment that you keep, as well as clothing and other items that, normal.
That goes in the spare bedroom.
Oh, the spare bedroom, of course.
Or the boot.
That
You'd
goes
call
in
it
the
a boot.
BMW?
The BMW.
So how do you manage something like that, Nick?
It's pretty much like camping, to be honest. You just roll down the windows if you're going to fart. You can cook in there, you can sleep in there. I practice in there.
you mix in there.
Mixed half the album in my car. Yeah. It's quite easy.
What's the biggest issue you've run into by living in your car over that number of years?
Lack of
cable TV.
Well, funnily enough, on the iPhone you've got BBC iPlayer, so you can watch a little bit of TV. You can watch, like I was watching the proms the other week and all that kind of thing. Keep up with Doctor Who, which is very important.
Absolutely.
But otherwise, the hardest thing is just lack of electricity, constant electricity. Being an electric guitar player mainly, that's been the hardest thing. Charging my laptop has been the biggest headache of my life.
You need one of these.
What's that? It's a guitar.
It's half the size. It would fit perfectly in the car.
It would actually, yeah. It would, yeah. It's a brilliant wee thing. I've actually grown in size. This is a normal size guitar.
You guys are just 12 feet tall.
Yeah, not a bad wee thing, is it?
Was that Flight of the Wasp?
Flight of the tiny bumblebee.
Flight
Flight
of
of
the
the Midgie.
ukulele bumblebee.
Guitar-lele, get it right.
The guitar, yeah.
I can't
Guitar.
pronounce it, let alone spell it, so I'm just going to call it a very small guitar.
Right, talking about music, we should really start looking at listening to some of this stuff.
Absolutely. We certainly should, and without further ado, we're going to do just that. So I'll ask our panelists to go ahead and get to going and start listening as we get track number 1 up on the channel today. This is track number 1 on today's Music Scene Investigation.
the streets, wondering what sound will meet my ears. I've gotta be aware, but wait, I hesitate. Oh man, I think I came in late, but I don't care, no, I don't care, 'cause time flies, and I would have rather question why. It's lit where I inspect and magnify, and I, for one, would rather die than my heart to deny. Yeah. Oh man, whatever for them. I'm taking all the same shit and loop back on itself. And I'd like to see you try and stop my plan, my master plan. Try as hard as you can, but you'll never stop me from making you have fun. Come on, have fun. Fate's when we have to go. Oh man, fit the everlasting mold. And I, for one, would rather die than my heart to deny. Yeah. Ay, 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 ay. I said yeah. I said yeah. I said yeah. I said yeah. I said
Track number 1 on today's MSI. We'll go over to Mr. Tom Chianti today. We're going to start out with him first. So, Tom, tell me, what do you think of track number 1 today?
I really like that. Very interesting, up tempo, a lot of nice changes, a lot of guitar work. I was really missing some oohs and ahs and backgrounds. I like the thwacky.
The what?
The thwacky drums.
Okay.
Wacky.
Thwacky, yes. It's a professional term. You'll find it on page 32 of the Audio Engineering Society handbook.
I'm checking now.
Check now. And it's also under the seat in every control room where the manual for the mixing board is. It's nice live sounding, tight head drum sound. Very nice sounding room, nice mix. My complaint is that great horn that came in out of nowhere, but all the way at the end, should have been sprinkled in a little bit earlier, on and off. And in the last 30, 40 seconds of the song, the electric heavier guitars came in, sort of muddied everything up. Those are the only bad things. The vocal, good performance, a little pitchy, but it's the style. My biggest concern was I really wanted to hear some nice couple of guys singing some oohs and ahs and doubles and backgrounding and stuff. Outside of that, the recording was really nice.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. Now over to Ian Husbands and Nick Andrew. Ian, what's your take on this?
I like the track, and I thought there were some really good performances coming in. The addition of that horn, that was really, really nice. It gave me a feel of Desperado, the movie Desperado and stuff like that, and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Had that sort of feel to it, which was really nice. And the sort of scar edge to it, the upbeat scar edge was good. The groove was generally strong, but the mix for me didn't cut it. I found it was very vocal and drum heavy. The drums were thwacky, but they were far too thwacky for my liking. All the guitars seemed to be pushed back. The bass seemed to be very flat. There was no bottom end clarity in there at all. In fact, the guitars in general, the bass and the cleaner guitars, were just very flat sounding. They had no energy to them from the point of view of the sound. Missing backing vocals. Really would have liked to have heard some people backing that up. I mean, with a remix, I think this is a really radio-worthy song. And I think, again, addition of them backing vocals. And as Tom said, bring that trumpet in a little bit sooner, just a bit more sparsely towards the start. But really, it was the mix that lost this for me from that point of view. It was just all drums and vocals. And there were so many nice things going on in the background that I was missing that body to the track. It just seemed empty in many ways.
All right. How about you, Nick? What do you think of track number 1 today?
Personally, not my cup of tea. It's a bit kind of punky for me. But it's something that there's a couple of things that caught my ear, so I would listen to it again, which I think is a good sign. It's not a track that immediately jumps out and goes, yeah, it's my favourite, but it's something that would make me want to listen to it again. Mainly the reason being is just, like Ian said, the mix is a bit kind of all over the place. The instrumentation seems to be a bit wrong as well. I don't quite know what kind of thing they're going for, what kind of genre, if you like, they're going to fit in. But it almost sounded like the acoustic guitar sounded like a ukulele, and then you got electric guitars over the top.
Had a banjo edge to it, didn't it?
Yeah. It was kind of just a little bit too
capoed, a little like the capo on a 4th fret.
Yeah, it was just out of tune, basically. As far as there was no guitar solo in it either, which is completely unforgivable for me. Coming from a kind of more jazz background, it should be at least 5 minutes long in a song like that.
That's just the solo, right?
Yeah. Good grief, Ian. My goodness. But the melodies weren't strong enough for me in the choruses. The kind of half-time bit. If you're going to go half-time on a song that's got a lot of energy to it, the melody has to really power through, and you've not even to notice that it's gone half-time. Whereas that, you kind of did. It dragged a little bit. But the kind of instrumentation they use, even though it wasn't quite right, was very interesting. The parts they've got are very interesting. It's just kind of the mix, I think. I like the kind of snare drum sound. I like that kind of overtone that they have, and it's got a very raw sound to it, which I quite like as well. It's not to be, overproduced or anything, but an interesting track. And the trumpet as well, the brass, that brass could have been so much bigger, especially towards the end. And every time you kind of listen to it, you kind of think you've got a handle on it, a new instrument comes in. You think, ooh, glockenspiel.
Yeah. I think it sounded like everything's been recorded in mono.
Aye.
There's been no layering, and there's been no sort of
feels like no
production.
either, really.
It could almost be straight off a desk with just the live band sort of playing their parts. Frozen in the chat there saying everything was mixed dead centre thin and without space. And I agree. It's just, it seemed flat and dull, that mix, besides for the drums and the vocals.
Yeah. One little thing I'll say, the vocalist, I get this a lot when I'm recording. You get a vocalist that has no breathing technique, so they sing a long line and it goes out of tune towards the end. And that's just basically vocal lessons, learning how to breathe properly. Because he's got a really nice sound to his voice, and quite characterful, if that's a word. Is that a word?
Yeah, it is now.
It is now, yeah. It could be quite good. But I'd like another listen, to be honest.
All right, well, you're not going to get one on this program. You can just the way it is.
Hey,
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
All right.
To introduce that song to everybody, the name of that track is called Heart to Deny, and the band is called Fight with Monsters. So we appreciate Fight with Monsters sending that track into Music Scene Investigation for our panel to listen to. If you're an indie artist out there, or you're a fan of indie music and want to hear your favorite indie artist on the show, tell them about us. And tell them to go to MusicSceneInvestigation.com, where they can submit their music for our panel to review. It's very simple to do. It's free, and we do this every Sunday live right here on MusicSceneInvestigation.com. And if you're not in the chat room, you should be. It's over there on the side of the screen, whether you're Justin TV or MusicSceneInvestigation.com. You can join us in the chat room. We'd be happy to see you and happy to have you join us there. We have 2 more songs to listen to, gentlemen. So let's get to it. Let's listen to song number 2 right now on today's Music Scene Investigation. Here it is, everyone. This is song number 2.
Since I seen you smile, damn near 50 miles, the engine's kicking out, and I don't see what you saw in me. Scarecrow dressed properly, but I ain't ashamed. Love one another. The feeling is good, but it's strange. Lately it seems like it's all been a dream. One I can't change. No more hard goodbyes and half-baked alibis. What you think you'll need ain't worth a drop to bleed. Acts of vicious deeds, but I ain't ashamed. 'Cause who told you to put your faith in a fool? And times they are tough, but who's to blame? And who let you down, made you weep on the ground? Wish I could change. you where you belong. Good things don't last too long, and some things can change. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Ooh. And I say, yeah. Whoa.
And that is song number 2 on today's music scene investigation. We're going to take and go over to the guys in London first, over to Nick and Ian, find out their thoughts. Gentlemen, I ask you to tell me about song number 2.
Do you want to take it, or shall
You go first.
I? Rightio. I like this, particularly like the voice. And there's a lot of thought being put into the recording. There's some really nice sounds going on and some really nice parts going on. It did meander a little bit. It kind of didn't really go, once you had that initial kick into that pre-chorus, it didn't really go anywhere after that. I think someone in the chat has mentioned some gospel would have been great in there, and I agree. It would have, some real big gospel vocals coming towards the end would have been great. I mean, everything seems to be pretty well recorded. It did seem like everything was sitting on top of each other. Everything was fighting for a bit of space. And as someone also mentioned in the chat, we were having a chat in the chat room there, they're saying, why did the vocals drop out on that when that sort of chorus and all the instrumentation came in? And, my guess would be a bit of over-compression on the mix that's basically not that dynamic out. Thus, everything sort of comes up louder except for that vocal, which is sitting on the one level still. Really like the organ sound on this. But it did dominate the track a little bit when it came in. Drum sound was very open. I didn't mind that for the start of the track. Again, a bit of compression on there might have helped a little bit just to put everything a bit tighter. But the start of the track, it worked. We seem to be having another week where all the backing vocalists have gone on strike. Because this really was begging out for that gospel vocal. It really was begging out for some harmonies and some oohs and some ahs, just throughout the track. I like the way Christmas came in at around 4 minutes 15. That was great. You had the little sleigh bell type thing coming in there. I thought, Santa Claus is arriving. That's great. He never showed up. It really is. It's a nice little song. Well performed, great voice. Lyrically, a tad cliche. Don't know where this would sort of go if it was released at the moment. It needs more. It needs to build more. It needs a bit more dynamic. It needs to go somewhere, basically.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. How about you, Nick? What do you think of track 2?
Pretty much the same thing.
He's been copying my notes.
Aye. I can't read you writing. You write in English, I write in Scottish. It needs more dynamics. They use like a little bit of use of dynamics now and again. There's a couple of little things while they're in my head. There's a little hook that they had they could make a lot more of, where the instrumentation cuts out and he sings Wish I Could, the kind of ascending figure that he sings on his own. And they could use more of that. That could be in every chorus or whatever, so that the hooks stand out a little bit more. I like the drum sound. It kind of had when the levy breaks, kind of like a very tame version of John Bonham's sound there. It's quite interesting. The very standard chord progression. So the minute you hear it, you kind of think, right, is this a U2 song? Is this a cover? What is this?
Is this country?
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, Heard it a million times. So nothing particularly wrong with that, but change the instrumentation again a little bit. Just give it something that within the first 10 seconds it's only that song. There's bands like U2 and stuff that are the master of that. The guitars underneath all the vocals are just a bit too... it's like a game of Chinese whispers where somebody's been taught a melody and the other person's forgotten it, so he plays his own melody. and there's too many melodies fighting without any serious counterpoint going on. That's me speaking as a classical musician now.
A classical musician?
Yeah, no, sort of as classical as you can get in Scotland, I guess.
Think Greek.
Aye. But yeah, the guitars don't quite sit right, but that little excuse my singing, I also sing in Scottish. That's a great little hook, but it seems to happen under other stuff, and it's got other melodies fighting with it. So compositionally, they could look at the composition, take out all the bits that are just surplus to requirements, and really refine it. It just needs a bit of refining, some good dynamics, and use the melodies cleverly and carefully. Because that little sounds like a kind of Chinese instrument, like a koto or something, the way it's played as well.
Do it one more time.
Do 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 yeehaw. So that's me going all country, isn't it? I can't stand country music. Sorry, you country fans. But yeah, the organ's good. It's got a lot of potential. This song, the singing on it is fantastic. Really, really good, and really makes the song and really makes you want to listen to it. So that's my tuppence worth, and it almost had a guitar solo in it.
Almost.
So almost, yeah. It was too short by several minutes. So more guitar solos, please.
All right.
That's my tuppence worth.
All
Say
right.
11.
Well, I appreciate it, Nick. Thank you very much. Now over to Tom.
One second.
Yes, sir.
Say 11.
11.
There you have it. Someone in the chat room is asking you to say 11.
They'll be asking me to say purple burglar alarm next, which you can't say with a Scottish accent at all.
Oh, Tommy, save me, my friend. Tell me what you think of track 2.
You've come to the wrong well, you humped camel, you. I agree with Nick about the chorus thing, but one thing that really stands out to me, the advantages of being as old as rock and roll, this is very Rod Stewart in Faces.
Yeah.
He's got a very Rod Stewart voice. He didn't do the Rod Stewart soft belt, where he doesn't really attack the microphone, but you can hear him really put emotion and sing his heart out into it. This is lacking that, along with some other things. It's very, there's a lot going on in here. There's a lot of good, and like Nick and Ian said, there's a lot of extraneous stuff and stuff. The vocals started off, and it was a little loud in the intro. And I said, okay, that means he didn't automate, and the whole band's going to come in, and it's going to be at the right level. And then the whole band came in, and the vocal disappeared. So a little automation and vocal rides is a definite must there. The snare sound was okay. It got a little monotonous on it, and I love, like Ian and Nick had said, I love the organ sound. But the biggest problem this had is it started, and this is where I really agree with Nick, it started that hook in the chorus. Da, 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 that's my Italian singing. And it stopped. And then the guitars came in and started their dueling melodies. That killed it for me. That just like brought me up on anticipation and then just dropped me 400 feet. This needs a well-defined hook, and the meandering, as Ian had said, it needs a structured thought. And like I just keep hearing Rod Stewart in Faces, and they did this so well that this band, if they're not influenced by him, they should definitely listen to it and see how they maintained a structure and a solid thought without too many instruments coming in and out. And I thought that was a little over dramatic, where everything dropped and then Santa Claus came. What would have been good is if everything dropped and a huge vocal chorus came in. Then that would have given me some chills, But instead, you got drop and tinka tinka. This song has so much going in the positive way for it that they really need a strong producer on it to take the reins, pull everybody in, and say, okay, stop playing this. Yes, keep playing that. You don't stop singing the hook. Sing the hook all the way through, and you've got a good song.
All right, Tommy. Thank you very much. Now, Mark out in the chat room is saying, hey, we're not going to have time for a third song. Yeah.
We always have time for a third song.
I was going to say.
In fact, this week, we're going to the bonus rounds, aren't we, Rich?
Yeah, we're going to play 12 songs in a row after this commercial break. No, what we're going to do is of course we're going to play a third song. We always play a third song. Even if we go over a little bit, we'll have a third song. I'll cut the content and editing. You know how it is.
Do they have voice recognition elevators in Scotland?
No.
There you go.
There you are. There's your
but they don't work very well. You say open, they close.
Yeah, Nick, you don't know if they have voice recognition in Scotland in the way of elevators.
No, we have stairs.
Voice recognition stairs, even better.
And then
This is song number 3 before it gets too much out of hand on today's MSI. Enjoy it, everyone. That's track number 3 on today's MSI. Now, before we go to the gentlemen for their review of track number 3, I've got to introduce track number 2 to everyone. Track number 2 was called Can't Change by Seddon and Raider. Seddon and Raider with Can't Change. We appreciate their sending that track in to us at MSI. Now let's go to the guys and get their take on track number 3. We're going to start things off with the guys in England again. I'm going to make Nick go first this time, and we'll find out what he thinks about track number 3. Nick, tell me what you think about it.
Aye, I think somebody's been taking Tom's Alka-Seltzers on this one. The first thing that sprung to mind was drugs. I actually, it was really interesting watching the little picture coming up on the screen, the green kind of thing.
The background.
The background, yeah, because it would perfect music for that. It was very green,
Trippy.
very trippy, yeah.
Green.
Kind of Osric Tentacly, Stone Roses kind of thing.
Early Floyd.
Yeah, early Floyd, that kind of stuff. Fairly interesting intro. I was kind of dreading the fact that it was acoustic guitar again, and wasn't quite the same old chords. Quite kind of happy, upbeat chords. They did the trick with the double track vocal because the vocal, wasn't great. So they double tracked it to make it sound a little bit more interesting. Very well produced. You can tell that by the guitars, the way that everything's got a little bit of space, and the guitar sounds are very interesting, and kind of they certainly draw my ear in. I'm a big fan of affected guitars and stuff like that. Little things would annoy me, production wise, like the ding at the start, that little bing. That's my impression of it hitting a glass. Oh, there you go. That's it. It was too long, so the overtone carried on into the chords and was just horribly out of tune. And it continued in the intro, which was a bit too much. I'd rein that in a little bit. Other than that, I couldn't even tell if it had a guitar solo in it because I kind of spaced out listening to it, which I guess it did its job. It'd be killer with any kind of good vocal over the top. I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I mean like a good hook to it, like the Stone Roses had. Instantly sellable, I think. It was quite interesting to listen to. That's about it. I like the guitars in it. It still needs a big guitar solo in there. And for a small fee, I'm willing to do it. As long as I can play my 5 minutes worth, that'll be more than happy.
Pay you in small dollars.
We'll make sure that you get the email of the artist who did this song.
I get paid in haggis.
Haggis. There you go.
Haggis?
Is that right-handed or left-handed haggis?
Ambidextrous.
Right, okay, just checking.
All right, Ian, what do you think of this particular track?
Again,
Speaking of
I mean...
haggis,
Ooh. No, I'm not even going to go there.
The track.
Track, yes. Again, the one thing I really do agree with you, Nick, is this needed a huge stonking guitar solo.
Exactly.
I mean, this is early Floyd without early Floyd. You know, it's kind of like, where's that real subtle felt guitar solo, you know, with all the deep delays and the big reverbs and stuff like
Jeff
that.
Beck to do it.
Yeah, but it really did miss that for me. And, you know, the production on this is fantastic. As Nick was saying, the guitar sounds are awesome. They've really, really got the guitars sounding nice. Didn't think much of the acoustic sound, to be honest. I thought it was very thin in that intro. And then as it went through, there was a lot of string noise coming off. There's little sort of bits of the track back down. And you could hear a little string noise coming through on the acoustic. You know, simple things like that, sometimes best to get rid of. Or re-record it so it's not there. You know, the mix, I liked the mix. I mean, I didn't really have any objections to the mix. It was very mellow, it was very spacey, lots of nice reverbs, but the vocal just didn't cut it for me at all. Lyrically, it was weak. Delivery, I felt, was weak. I mean, he was in tune, but there was no passion in that vocal. Whereas, you know, even when Syd Barrett was doing all the sort of stuff with Floyd and they had that real sort of chilled out, spacey vocal, you knew he meant every word he said. This guy didn't convince me. Which is a shame because, you know, it really is a very, very well produced track, a very well mixed track. Arrangement wise, I felt it could have done with a bit more as well. It sort of got onto a level and stayed there and didn't move off that level. You know, just breaking things down, taking instruments away, sometimes helps rather than adding more and more in to sort of build a bigger track.
All right. Makes sense, Ian. Thank you very much. Over to Mr. Tom Chianti. Tom, the man with the board. What do you say?
yes, the person that did this understood the board very well. As everybody said, the mix is very well done. It's very well produced. I agree with Nick about the overhanging tones. And I think the problem with the acoustic guitar is not so much in the mix or whatever. It's just the way whoever was playing it. It may not be their best or first instrument of choice. A lot of sounds can be left to live or die by who's playing and how they play. Many a time you'll get someone says, I want a Led Zeppelin snare, and they come in, they hit like they using a wet noodle. So you've got to have substance there. And that acoustic sound really does stand out because everything else sounds really, really good. Again, I agree with the vocal. It's nice double track. Track is very spacey, very moody. And for once, I'm going to stand firmly beside Nick and say, where the hell's the guitar solo?
Hey!
All right.
Even Ian and I agree on this. It needs that big bell ringing, solid, delay driven, come on, hear me type of guitar solo that'll just solidify the entire mix. Background vocals at the end were nice. It reminded me of a song from the 70s, 10 Years On or something. I forget the group. But, I'm Not in Love. The vocal at the end there. Very reverby, oohs and ahs type of thing. Could have had more of that and made it a little bit, as hard as it would be to make this more interesting. That would have made it more interesting. A better lyrically composition, a better lyrical composition would have helped this a bit with a little bit more of a memorable melody and something of a substantial hook. Oh. And I'm losing my voice, so that is it.
Well, I will interrupt you so you don't lose it the whole way, because you still have to decide on a song of the week after I introduce this track.
Well, for once, cut me off to do your job.
All right. All right, here it is. The name of this particular track number 3 on today's program is called Love Lost Out by Justin Taylor. Justin, we appreciate your sending that track into Music Scene Investigation. Thank you so much. Now, gentlemen, you have the task at hand.
Chat room, 10cc. That's it. Thank you.
There you go.
No,
now,
that's the same in how many drugs you should take.
that's right. No more than that. All right, gentlemen, you have the task at hand as we come up towards the top of the hour of deciding the song of the week. So you make your selections wisely and talk amongst yourselves before you decide, of course.
Well. Another interesting week.
Yeah. 3 slightly different songs.
If you don't
I'm
mind,
actually going to refer back
first.
to my notes. Yeah, go for it, Tom.
I think I'll be outvoted, but I really liked number 1. I think number 2 and number 3 are really the beginnings of strong works. I think number 1 realizes what they're doing the most. Even if it is, been done before, it's done well. And I like this type of live sounding mix with the thwacky drums,
You just like that word.
Thwacky, yes. I'm a wild and thwacky guy. So I'll go with number 1.
All right, number 1 for Tom. Ian and Nick, what do you think?
It's got to be one or 2 for me, I think. I mean, 2 purely, again, that vocal is fantastic, and there's a lot of good ideas going on there. Just it needs a rearrangement, it needs to build, it needs to be a stronger thing. I think to get number 2 to a position where it was ready is the same amount of work it's going to take to get number 1 ready, if that makes sense, just in different ways. So I'm kind of drawn between 1 and 2. What are you feeling, man? Besides my leg.
Sorry, is that your leg?
Yes.
Oh, dear. I thought it was the table.
And you thought you were going to have to rein me in this week, Rich.
I know.
I would have to go for, funnily enough, we're all different, so I like 2 and 3. I like 3 because it's very colourful. Not a great vocal, and you take the vocal away and put something different over the top of it, and rearrange it, you could have something much better. But 2 for
Then
me
you
is
would have
kind of
number 3.
well, number 2 has got the most potential for me. I think it's got the most amount of hooks. You could refine it and use a few compositional techniques to kind of bring it out a little bit more. It's definitely got the best singer, and at the end of the day, a lot of the time it is the singer that sells the track, and he didn't do a bad job of selling the track. Number 1 for me was kind of quirky, but a bit too raw. I think it would take so much work to get that sorted, and it just didn't pull my ear as much as number 2 and 3. But number 2 for me, definitely.
All right, so we have a vote for song 1, a vote for song 2, and it's up to Ian.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to go with song 2 as well. I think it is the vocal that sells it, as Nick says, for this one for me. So, sorry, Tom, but I'm going to stick with the Scotsman.
What did I say? I said I feel I was going to get outvoted, and I was correct. I'm way ahead of you guys. I'm on next week's show already. Come on, let's go. Rock this thing up. The tune is starting to smell bad. Let's go.
All right.
You weren't outvoted. You were just the runner-up.
There you have it. Song of the week for this week is Seddon and Raiders Can't Change. And we're going to play out with that track in just a moment. But first of all, Nick, a privilege to have met you. Glad to have you on the broadcast. And we certainly hope that Ian can corral you again soon to have you back with us.
Aye, it was good fun.
He lives
Nice
in
to
his
meet
car.
you all.
All I've got to do is promise him a home-cooked meal.
Aye.
There you go. There you go.
And you've got an inside toilet.
There is that as well, yes.
And electricity.
Doesn't have any gummy bears in the back seat.
But he has electricity to charge a laptop, so that helps.
Aye.
Well, we appreciate it, Nick. Thank you so much. And
thanks for having me.
good luck with the new album, the book as well. Looking forward to those coming out. Everybody should be able to go to your website, I would imagine, to find out more information.
Aye. My website's nickandrew.net. And there's also zippertongue.com for the band.
Well,
What is it? Play some guitar solos.
Go on, rip something out quickly.
All right. There you go.
That's when you rip something out very quickly.
There you go, a bit of jazz as well.
Yeah. There
All
we go.
right.
Can't be a bit of jazz.
Thanks again, and thanks to everybody for being with us on today's MSI. We'll be back again next week to do it all again. Certainly hope you join us then. Until then, we're going to play out with Seddon and Raider with Can't Change right here on MSI. Thanks again, everyone, for being with us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Since I seen you smile, damn near 50 miles, the engine's kicking out, and I don't see what you saw in me. Scarecrow dressed properly, but I ain't ashamed. Love one another. The feeling is good, but it's strange. Mainly it seems like it's all been a dream. One I can't change. ties, no more hard goodbyes, and half-baked alibis. What you think you'll need ain't worth a drop to bleed. Acts of vicious deed, but I ain't ashamed. 'Cause who told you to put your faith in a fool? And times they are tough, but who's to blame? Who let you down, made you weep on the ground? Wish I could change. Take it back to where you belong. Good things don't last too long, and some things can't change.